Israel's elimination of Yahya Sinwar, the mastermind behind the October 7 attack on Israeli citizens, marks a significant moment in the country's unwavering commitment to protecting its national interest and sovereignty. Viewers, this bold move is on the lines of the US operation that took out Osama bin Laden, and it sends a clear message that Israel will not tolerate terrorism. Sinwar had openly declared his intention to wipe out Israel, leaving no room for negotiation or compromise. His actions, including the devastating October 7 assault, had claimed over 1,200 lives. Viewers, Israel's approach is not new. Israel has always taken decisive action against those who threaten its people and sovereignty. Historical events like Operation Thunderbolt in Uganda in response to the hijacking of an international civilian passenger flight, and Operation Wrath of God after the 1972 Munich Olympic massacre, where 11 Israeli athletes were kidnapped and murdered by the Palestinian militants, serve as reminders of the country's resolve. Israel's muscular policy on terror, viewers, serves as a deterrent to potential threats and reinforces its reputation as a nation that will not be intimidated. While critics may argue that such actions can have unintended consequences, Israel's history demonstrates that inaction in face of terror only emboldens enemies. Viewers, by prioritizing national interest and sovereignty, Israel has sent a powerful message to those who seek to harm its people. You will be held accountable.
The mastermind of this day of sheer evil is no more. Yahya Sinwar is dead. He was killed in Rafah by the brave soldiers of the Israel Defense Forces. While this is not the end of the war in Gaza, it's the beginning of the end. To the people of Gaza, I have a simple message. This war can end tomorrow. It can end if Hamas lays down its arms and returns our hostages. And Israel will guarantee the safety of all those who return our hostages. But to those who would harm our hostages, I have another message. Israel will hunt you down and bring you to justice.
Our work is not done. We will not rest until we bring home all our hostages by any means. And we will continue to operate until we complete all our missions in defense of the people of Israel.
Let's open this up. Maroof Raza joins the panel. Sushil Pandit also with us. Dr. Eyal Pinko, ex-senior intelligence officer, cyber and national security expert, is with us. Dr. Pinko, good evening. Thank you for speaking to us. What is the message to the world? By taking out Yahya Sinwar, what are you trying to tell the world?
This is not telling the world. This is telling Hamas that Israel will not allow any kind of terror activities against its people, against its cities, as we saw in the last 17 years since the Gaza Strip started to be managed and run by Hamas and the Palestinian Authority before that. So I think it's enough of killings, enough of murders of our people. I think it's we want peace, and this by killing Sinwar, the murderous head of Hamas, we see that we are advancing, taking out this terror organization, and we really want to go to peace. I think it's enough time of war for everyone.
Right. Maroof, would it be wrong to call this Israel's bin Laden moment?
In a way, yes, but bin Laden was a far, far more publicized character and the Hydra-headed monster that monitored terror groups which were looking at targeting the US and its friends. The terrorists that Israel has eliminated were not in the same stature or category as bin Laden. But what Israel has shown is that there is the need for very good intelligence to be able to target your enemies. And the second is that those who are eliminated, like bin Laden was, they enjoy for a long period of time the support of the host country. Bin Laden's enjoyed that support. So do these people, but to a much lesser extent. So there is an important, graph that you can make out. One is that you need to be able to monitor their movements very closely.
Right.
Secondly, you need to be able to hit at your targets regardless of it offending the host nation. And thirdly, and most importantly, what we need to understand, when these terror heads roll,
Right.
another one will show up. They have already a designated hierarchy, which is number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5. So when one goes, the next comes in. Because terror groups do not need hand-on-hand leadership like military outfits.
That is true, but Israel has made it amply clear that no matter how many come, they will go after them. Dr. Ranganathan, what does it take to have this kind of resolve?
I think it takes unity of its citizens, as simple as that. We've seen on the day today when Indians are divided, when India is going after a designated terrorist, you see what Israel has accomplished. The evil mastermind of the worst attack against Jews since the Holocaust, Pranesh, October 7, 2023 terror attack, has now been eliminated. 1 billion Indians stand with Israel, because standing with Israel is not only moral, it is imperative that we do so. Because, and here I would like to make a few points, because they need to be internalized. Because these are irrefutable facts, Pranesh, not opinions. Number one, Hamas and Hezbollah use residential areas and hospitals as ammunition dumps and patients as human shields, rendering Geneva Convention invalid. And here's the thing, the hospitals in Gaza were safe and functioning well till October 6 last year, one day, and they would have continued to be safe and function well beyond that had Hamas not murdered 1,400 innocent Jews and microwave babies on October 7 and brought on this war upon itself. So let me be clear. Hamas alone is responsible for the Gaza tragedy. Number two, the Jews were in the land of Israel more than 1,000 years before Islam was even born. So this argument that the land does not belong to Jews is totally wrong. King David founded his kingdom 1,700 years before Islam, and what is symbolized in the Israeli flag? The Star of David. The Jews were driven out of Israel 500 years before Islam after the defeat of Shimon Bar Kokhba in the Jewish-Roman War. Number three, while the Israel Declaration of Independence Charter does not discriminate between Jews and Muslims, the Charter of Hamas, democratically elected by the Palestinians, by the way, proclaims that the day of judgment will not come until Muslims fight Jews and kill them. Israel will continue to exist until Islam obliterates it, just as it obliterated others before it, unquote. Number four, Israel has voluntarily given up land, Sinai, West Bank, Gaza, that it had taken over after the Arab-Israeli wars. If it was the perennial aggressor, why would it do so? Number five, Israel believes in the two-state solution, where Israel and Palestine can live peacefully side by side. Hamas does not. And number six, Egypt has demolished thousands of Gazan homes along the Sinai border. Egypt has flushed out Gazan border tunnels, not Israel. Look, unless we understand the psyche of those who stand against Israel, have you ever wondered that a small sliver of land, Pranesh, surrounded by the richest, the wealthiest nation in the world, the Arab states, remains the poorest? Why is that? Because they wanted to remain poorest.
Mr. Pandit, what lessons can India take from what Israel has done to its enemies?
Oh, huge lessons, Pranesh. I agree a lot with Dr. Ranganathan, except on one point. He says because Israel is united, all the Israelis are united. Sorry, today Israel stands divided on several issues. A lot of them are still imputing motives on Netanyahu, saying that he is prolonging this war and he's not interested or serious about fetching the hostages back. It eventually depends on the leadership, not just the capability. Certainly we have the intelligence, our forces have the capability, but Dawood Ibrahim survives more than 40 years. After the Mumbai attacks of 1993, more than 30 years. Likewise, Hafiz Saeed survives after all the carnages. Hizbul Mujahideen ringleader Salahuddin survives after committing carnage after carnage in Kashmir, and we know where he is. Don't we have the capabilities of taking them out? Where is the resolve? Zakir Naik runs away as fugitive, roams from country to country, is despised even by the host country that brings him in as state guest. What prevents us from taking them out? Yes, I think some of our enemies have been liquidated in the recent past, and this is a welcome sign. But they are small change compared to iconic names who still survive and thrive. Our own Bitta Karate and Yasin Malik. They are the worst of the vermins who murdered with impunity, still survive because we don't wish to prosecute them. It is the element of political will.
Right.
It is the element of resolve to fight jihad and not placate it, not win hearts, but to break its back and to extract its jaw. That is needed by the political leadership to survive in the face of naked, relentless and ruthless jihad that Israel faces, that India has been facing for hundreds of years. It is this that will eventually determine whether we survive as a civilization, as a nation with our identity intact, despite all the vikas.
Well said, sir. Maroof, what should we do? What will it take for us to do some of the things that Sushil Pandit, Dr. Ranganathan just said? Why can't we do what Israel has done to our enemies?
See, both Dr. Ranganathan and Dr. Sushil Pandit have made some very good points. But please understand that our situation is slightly different. And I'm not a terror apologist. You see, Pakistan is a country that uses them as a tool for their policy implementation. And therefore, if we go out and hit these people on Pakistan's territory, we are asking for Pakistan to retaliate, because up to a point, the Pakistani state can allow them to operate independently. But beyond a point, the Pakistani state will come under pressure from bodies at home to say, why are you...
Maroof, I think you should grab a glass of water.
Why are you allowing this?
I think grab a glass of water. It can happen sometimes. And come back and join the debate. While I bring in Dr. Ranganathan. Dr. Ranganathan, Sushil Pandit was also talking about the political will. That we have. And when we have in the past demonstrated our muscular policy, surgical strikes, the opposition, and this is an extension of what we were discussing in the previous debate, the opposition comes up with bizarre theories and claims.
No, absolutely, and I take what Sushil ji has said. I was wrong to a large extent. Israel, there is also quite a lot of disunity within Israel. Let me put it this way, as a faith-saving measure, that Israel is less disunited than India is. But no, I think Sushil ji is right. The resolve of the leadership has been relentless. And just imagine the people who have been standing and threatening Israel's friends for decades. Look at France. Look at America. They've almost threatened Israel. Israel's back is to the wall. But look what Netanyahu did. Instead of, kowtowing to what France and other Western countries were saying, he actually made a broadcast against why, Macron is wrong. It was incredible. But of course, there is something to be said about the disunity within Israel, but I think every politician faces that at one time or the other. But when the survival of a country is at stake, the survival of a country, there you cannot compare what Israelis have achieved and what any other country has achieved. It's just phenomenal.
Yeah, Maroof, you have the last word on the show. 40 seconds, sir.
Yeah. See, Pranesh, one is, if Israel did not have the full backing of the United States, would it have been able to do what it is doing now? Secondly, if it had had diplomatic restrictions and the Arab countries developed the spine to stand up to Israel for the sake of the Palestinian, the cause for which they seem to be always pitching in to say our Muslim brothers, or for that matter, even Pakistan, which give support to the Palestinian cause, to link it to their case over Kashmir. The second thing is that if Israel is going to be able to achieve its fight against these terror groups, then Israel must also understand that this war is not going to end that easily. Terror groups have a horrible tendency to bounce back and hit you at your vulnerable spots. You know, they have to be lucky only once.
I get that point, Maroof, but I don't think Israel is only going after individuals. What it tries to do, or in this case what it has done, is try to send a larger message to dent the morale, so that even if you have individuals, you don't have for lack of a better word, the wherewithal to repeat such a blunder. Like I said in the beginning, that Israel has ensured that if you attack us, you will not go unpunished. Gentlemen, I thank all of you for joining me on India Upfront. The news are with Navita Kumar on the other side.